because timing the market is impossible. When you create an opportunity in a hot market to follow all the other steps by getting yourself prepared, by having a good agent, by having a good lender, by knowing the market that you're going to buy in, not settling, setting an expectation that it's not always about price and creating a market community that you're going to buy in by widening your search area, and then you act quickly. Well, now you're able to buy.
When people say they're trying to time the market or they want to wait for it to cool down, I immediately just start feeling nauseous and I just want to vomit,
I kind of feel like it's, you go to the doctor.
Okay.
And your doctor goes, hey, I want you to take some medicine. And then you go, nah, I'm good. Why did you go to the doctor?
Mm-hmm. One thing that we had talked about is actually on this piece of paper. It says war or nuclear disaster. And I don't know if you guys have seen the TikTok lately of people putting not like an Amber Alert, but one of those broadcasted messages saying there's a nuclear war that's happening to prank their family or their friends. Have you guys seen that on TikTok?
I haven't seen it.
Not on my For You page yet.
I'll have to
Not
check
there
that one
yet.
out.
Give us some time.
My algorithm's a little different.
It'll get there. But in terms of a war or a nuclear disaster, that's something that people can add on or no?
You can't really add on that one. So
Yeah.
so
I feel like if it's a nuclear one, at that point it's just game over.
I'm gone.
Can you
Okay.
piggyback?
Okay.
Can you insure bunkers? Would that add value? If let's say it did add value to the home, could you potentially insure that?
I think you could. It's probably a specialty item, but it's something that could be insured. Now, are you
everybody out there, everybody out there,
Yeah. So
in the center of the United States.
My point is that your ROI is directly correlated to the way that the environment feels. So when a buyer walks into your house, do they feel happy, lovey, hunky-dory? Do they feel like they want to live there? Or do they feel like they're walking into into Christian's mom's house, right? What I'm thinking, hold on. What I'm thinking is that scene in 21 Jump Street when, I can't remember the kid's name, but the kid goes, oh, mom, oh, right? Because you're walking in, you're looking at baby photos and naked children and their Indian costume, from when they were 3.
Yeah.
Or are you walking into a Home Goods vibe? Right. Everybody wants to live here. Everybody would love to live here. So when people do things like windows, they're I just replaced the windows. And you're cool, take down the photos over there.
You know what should be added on here? Is declutter, depersonalize, and deep clean.
The investment is probably $1,000 and the return is probably 10x.
It doesn't match. It's unmatched.
Easy. It's the greatest investment. Today I was at the current economic trends panel or whatever it was, and the chief economist for Bright MLS was talking about why current homeowners are in a better position to be more equitable and more competitive than your first-time home buyer because they have all this pent-up equity. Mm-hmm. And so it's almost like a reason to upsize is because you have this pent-up equity. Yeah. If you don't, you're giving up the potential for that equity to grow.
But I think once you get over that hurdle, kind of chatting with Ryan, it seems like things should be a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. You get your first house. My plan was to live in it for a year and then rent it out, hopefully buy another house after that and kind of keep it going for 4 years, but more realistically, probably 5 with everything going on.
Earlier today, I was talking about, getting qualified for an investment property. And I said the most important thing is painting a picture of what your ideal investment home looks like. Yeah. What you just described could be considered house hacking, right? People talk about this all the time.
Sure.
It's one of the terms that I hate about real estate because people talk about this shit I'm going to house hack. So you're going to buy an investment property, rent it out, and then buy another one with the proceeds, right? And they're yeah, house hacking. And I'm oh, okay, cool. So you're going to have a roommate move in to give you some cash flow so you can lower your expenses? Yeah, house hacking. I want to murder you, right? I just want to murder people. Yeah. What is your goal? What is your long-term goal? Mm-hmm. Because you can't do that forever.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So paint a picture of what your future investment portfolio looks like and start to build towards that.
Yeah.
My thing, just buy the shittiest thing you can get your hands on. Yeah. And I think whether your investment portfolio looks like your primary residence or you have a secondary or a third tertiary, right? It's your investment portfolio. So that's why I say start by dreaming, figure out what it looks like, and then go for that. Caw-caw. Caw-caw. Caw-caw.
What up, dog?
We're going to put John online. Nothing. I was just calling you to caw-caw. That's all.
Are you kidding me right now?
Yes, I was kidding you. I think that it's a travesty that sellers are misled by their agent.
Yeah.
And so in the blog, Liv talked about pricing with the real estate agent that offers the highest value. So you get 3 agents to come in. One says 300, one says 320, one says 345. And you go with the 345 option, not because the house is worth 345, because it's really worth 300. All 3 of them were coming in kind of high. And that's what happened in that situation.
Yeah.
And now the agent doesn't know how to get out of it.
Yeah.
The agent's like, well, the sellers aren't going to be willing to drop the price. Actually, they raised the price. I can see that they didn't drop the price, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that
blows my mind. One thing that he said was, don't leave voicemails. And I was like, excuse me.
No, I love that. I love that.
But what he did not say was, don't leave voicemails. What you heard was, don't leave voicemails, but he didn't say, don't leave voicemails. Okay, so what he said was, don't ever leave a voicemail ever again. And what people heard was, don't ever leave a voicemail ever again. Ring, 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 hang up. He furthers to say, okay, so you called today at 11, hang up. Call back at 3. Call back before you leave the office at 5:30. Try them again tomorrow. First thing when you get into the office, 9 a.m. Call at 1 at lunch break. Try again at 4:30. And if they don't answer at 4:30, you're going to leave them a voicemail and it's going to go something like this. Ring, ring. My name is Mike Frank with Berkshire Hathaway. I understand you've been getting a lot of calls, OFC, right? So your introduction, your offer, your fact, and then your question. So I understand that you've been getting a lot of calls, and I wondered when would be the best time to connect. I've tried reaching out to you a number of times. I'm going to call you again in 2 days at 8 in the morning. If that time doesn't work for you, reach out to me and let me know what time does. I look forward to hearing from you. Hang up.
I
You
mean,
don't even live in
about
Baltimore anymore.
I don't. I live in Annapolis now.
Woo, fancy.
I bet-
He's about to be like, oh, I'm from Calvert County, then Southern Maryland, then Annapolis,
That's
and
okay.
Baltimore.
His accent changes each time.
This is how he thinks people from Southern Maryland like talk. And then also anything under Anne Arundel is like a fucking ghost town.
Bro, like, what has Southern Maryland done for me lately? I have been to Chesapeake City. I have been to Dunkirk.
Chesapeake City.
Isn't that what it's called?
Chesapeake Beach?
Chesapeake Beach City.
Look at this
The
man
city
out
of
here trying to
Chesapeake
real
Beach. I
estate.
don't know.
This is the last time that I thought you had gone down there.
It was the last
But
time I went down
when you
there.
go down there, all you do is like talk shit. And then you're like, oh my God, we're in this little
I
Dunkirk
also-
office.
I also-
Didn't you even enjoy any like food from over there? Nothing, probably.
We went to Wawa.
Okay. You can't talk shit.
Okay.
Okay.
There's Wawa all around.
Okay.
Oh,
I
Wawa
don't know
mac
where
and
I don't know
cheese,
where
though?
your Raising Cane's is in Southern
Okay,
Maryland.
that's
I'm done.
non-existent. The closest
What
one
is
is
the
in like North Carolina.
What is the
I
spot
think.
in Southern Maryland? We're talking about location.
There's
What is
a
the spot?
couple.
What is the one spot?
So Mama Lucia's.
No, the one.
Oh, Golden Chicken?
Golden
Dude,
Chicken.
That place in French Frederick. Oh
that
my
a
Bro.
chicken?
God.
He's literally talked about this so much, and then one day he comes into the office, he like unpacks his lunch, he's like sitting down to a team meeting, and we're like, what's that? He's like, oh, it's golden chicken. Like, why don't you bring some for everybody? And here we are in 2023 looking at nothing but opportunity. It's an interesting consideration because earlier I said something about there's a expected increase in listing inventory of over 22%. And that's such an opportunity for a seller. In some ways, you think, well, more supply equals less demand equals lower home prices. Well, it's an opportunity to showcase the value of your home, and it heightens the reason that you would hire someone that you trust to represent you.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different parts of buying a home that you don't even realize how many people that you need behind you to support you. And I think, like you said, like having an agent and a team overall, you know, when I first start talking to someone, I always explain the process as like you're picking out, you know, your football team, your soccer team, you know, like these are players that are going to be on your team throughout the entire thing.
I like that.
So choosing them individually, you know, is just
like
as
a
important.
draft.
Yeah, it's pretty much like a draft. Like you are choosing every single person, and not only them by themselves, but how they work with the other team members is also really important too. So
Now, who do you put as the first round draft pick? Is it the agent? Is it the lender? Is it the title company? Is it your inspector?
I mean, I think the agent, so we do the fun part. So naturally people gravitate towards us because they hear real estate and they hear realtor.
I also think that we are the person that can hold everyone accountable. But I think we do have a lot of power in home buying, home selling process, right? We can kind of control everyone and keep people on track. We also have the ability to set the expectation and educate people. Like if my buyer comes to me with like a lending question, I'm not going to advise on it. I might tell them, hey, this is what might happen. This is what I've seen in the past. But I want you to chat with your lender so you're getting 100% accurate information. But I can help facilitate that. Finding the right agent that can help you with all of that, have those resources is very important.
Can you show us the screen?
No, it's too hard.
Come on. No.
No, seriously.
Turn it
He
around.
wants me to log in.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make an account, right?
Yeah, do it.
It does.
Because you're
For the open.
log in. You'll see.
Yeah, I know what it is.
That's as specific as you're gonna get. And there's
We
a free
literally
version.
went through this
Literally,
entire
Liv,
thing.
why are you not yelling at him? Wait, don't turn the okay. Maybe we could get a buyer on the podcast from time to time.
Imagine.
That'd be cool.
Rude. It's like that time that you guys all wanted scripts for your Monday show.
I can't do it both, Mike.
Dude, I brought that idea. This is crazy.
Shade.
This is crazy. Okay.
Just tell me your fucking topic.
Well, I mean, not by itself, but it does have like.
Okay, let's go to the Super Bowl last.
No.
You're getting red as the second goes by.
It probably is not a specific enough question.
Shitty NFL officiating.
That's not a
or-
question.
I don't think
Heather.
I was a part of that.
Oh, okay, got it.
Definitely were.
I don't think so at all.
Yeah, meanwhile,
you
Christian's
bring.
like, what are we even talking about? Is this a real estate podcast?
I want to leave right now. We do not have those in Maryland.
He's like, I have to sign in.
Well, he just made it sound like he found one in a box up
No,
front.
he did not
Did-
find one in a box.
All right, fine. Ruin my fun, Liv.
I don't need. Okay, let's wrap this up real quick.
Oh my
Podcast
God.
over. Play the music.
Shade. To get back to like how you negotiate, right? And I think that this is the opportunity to take away like the buyer or the seller is going to tell you how to negotiate on their behalf. And you're just a vessel. You're just a tool, a hammer.
You're like the owl in Harry Potter that just delivers the message.
Ooh. To make your point, we are the owl that delivers the information, but we have to be given the right content. And I think when people are looking for someone to negotiate for them, it's kind of a fallacy. I think the answer should be with them. I'm not negotiating for my client. I'm just representing them. I'm just delivering the information like the owl. I agree.
That's why I said like listening is such a big part, right? You got to know what's going to be on your little letter with the owl. You know, what are you going to say? What are you going to deliver? And how are you going to do it?
And I think that the biggest thing that I would tell any new investor, any seasoned investor, I don't care about you until you've done 6, maybe 8. You know, like if that person owns 3 rental properties, they're doing well.
Yeah.
But if they're going to tell me how to do it, they're not doing well enough
Right.
to educate.
Right.
And I think where people are coming at us and they're saying like, well, hey, what knowledge do you have, Heather? You're like, well, I've sold 8 homes. How many homes have you sold? We have these investors that come to us, like Christian said, where it's like, oh, it's a second home. I want to get a grant program. I'm not buying until I get a grant program. I'm like, all right, well, then I'm not going to waste my time with you.
And like people listening, like don't think we're like shitty people.
No, wait. There's a better thing to think about. We're not shitty people.
We're not.
We're the right agents
Right.
telling you what you need to hear.
right.
Because the agent that I talked to yesterday was the wrong agent for that potential buyer. Instead
Yeah.
of setting the right expectations, that agent went and walked my property as if she was going to be
Well,
with
it's
her
like-
client. And it's like, why are you wasting your time? Why does your client think that this is a viable opportunity? Only because there are bad real estate agents out there with bad information and don't know how to get the proper information
Well,
to
I
their
mean,
client.
I wouldn't even say just real estate. Just like the internet has so much bad information, and they come to us, and like we try to educate them, and then it's like a war almost. It's like fighting back.
I think mindset is the thing that's going to carry us from point A to point B. And I have a question for you because I know what I'm going to do, but like, what's the one thing that would get you out of a funk? The one thing that would like lift you up if you were in a rut or you needed that emotional or physical support? Like, what's the one thing that you would do?
I think success has a snowball effect. I think once we get a taste of it, we want to keep it going.
The compound effect.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I think one of the big things that I noticed about myself is that when I am in a funk, once I have that one person answer the phone, or I have that one person putting in a contract, like it helps me understand like why I'm doing it. Like,
Okay.
you know, like what
So,
am
like, the
what am I
compound
fighting
effect,
for? Yeah.
Getting that one small win.
Yeah.
Like microdosing, right?
I
Your
think.
wins.
I think.
Exactly.
It's funny, but it's true.
I think a lot of people's funks, and I can kind of speak for myself here too. It's like a lot of mine come from like this if-then mindset. Like, if I do this, then this will be the outcome. This is how I'll feel.
100%.
But then you're constantly wrapped up in this like chase like mentality of
Right.
like I have to do this, and then this will be the outcome. This
Or
will be
like
how I feel.
I can't do this because the outcome.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But
Like
then
it's
once
defining you.
yeah, right.
Right.
And when you have that like have hold of your life or how you're running your business or what have you, it's going to take a very heavy toll. And I feel like that's how I get into a funk. So it's like about how you look at everything.
This is a very true story, and it's kind of sad. So before I was in real estate, I was in landscape construction. I went to work for a big company. They shipped us out to Oklahoma, where we lived, and we worked on this job site. So myself and the other project foreman shared a room, and it was like 2 beds, and in between our beds was like a nightstand, and he had a plant on his nightstand. And I came to learn that he had a disease called MS. So by the time Sunday rolled around, he would be, Friday, certainly Saturday, if we were working the job site, his feet, instead of like lifting his feet like this, his feet would kind of go like this. Right? He didn't have the energy, the muscular capacity to like lift his toe off the ground. And then he would give himself a shot on Sunday morning, and he just needed that, whatever that shot was, to recover. During that 20 minutes, he would take the shot, he would feed his plant, he'd talk to the plant. Well, I saw him do this one time, and I was like, dude, what the fuck's wrong with you? Right? And he's talking to his plant, and he's watering the plant, he's kind of moving it or whatever, and he said something like, oh, I swear this plant is growing towards me. And I was like, nah, you're an idiot, it's growing towards the sun, right? Like, that's what I've been taught my whole life. But over the time that we were there, I was like, God damn, maybe this plant is growing towards him. Because you saw it. The shoots of the plant had more stalks going towards his bed than the ones that were going straight up towards the window. I genuinely do believe that there is a palpable, transmittable thing that's unexplainable that comes much more than just the sun looking at your face and feeling like, oh, I feel great.
But I feel like people like with these statistics in the way agents or even just clients or people out there in the world treat them, it's almost like day trading or like stock. Like, oh yeah, my property's up a couple $100,000, but you're not going to sell it immediately and go buy another fucking house. That's not how that works. And that's how like I feel like a lot of people treat it.
Because we each are at a different level. And that was what Dre said that was resonating for me, is that it's like a reevaluation of where we are. Which ironically, as we talk about like real estate numbers and specifics and blah, 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 it's like, it doesn't apply to anybody, which is why it's fucking stupid. Because who gives a shit if Cecil County saw a 12.1% increase in housing values over the last 12 months?
Yeah.
Who cares?
I don't think it makes people buy. It doesn't make people sell.
No, of course not. The one thing that it impacts is the buyer that's looking in the market today. And that's why you should have a real estate agent that knows this shit, and I'm fucking out. That was actually really funny. I hit both of them at the same time.
I was like, wait a minute, what? I think something that helps homes sell for a higher value is honestly the pictures too.
Yeah.
If you have a crappy photographer and like people are online browsing through that, they're just going to scroll right to the next one.
Yeah.
And it's going to give them a terrible opinion about the home. How we have the feature you can favorite, mark them as possibilities, discard them. That one's going in the discard pile.
That's going in the discard pile. As a matter of fact, 2 things. So one, Bahumik and Jenki, right? They just bought a house a couple weeks ago, and they bought the house with the shitty photos. Like they were like, oh, I want to see it. And we went, and they just loved it. The photos were abominable. And I thought to myself, man, one offer wasn't even that competitive. And the sellers accepted because the photos were abominable. How many people were just discarding that house before it even started?
Probably 99% of them.
Yeah, probably 99 out of 100.
Well, me and John were actually talking about our word of the year along with our New Year's resolution.
What is a word of the year? I'm so curious.
Kind of like a nudge word. Like, so instead of having a set goal for the year, like a New Year's resolution, you have a word that kind of focuses to the mindset that you want to be in to achieve your goal.
How did you pick your word before you tell me what it is?
I tried to understand my mindset of what I needed to do to achieve my goals for this year, and everything, and kind of what what mindset I needed to be in.
So this was something that you framed. So what's the word?
It's perseverance.
Perseverance. Wow.
Yes. Real estate is a fight.
My word is present, because I want to, where I am in this moment, I want to be all in.
The one that I'm like mulling on at this current moment is like proud. It's a reminder to yourself every day to be proud for who you are and what you do and why you do it. And I think that's the most important thing. Do you guys know the first rule of house hunting?
Know what the fuck you want? Sorry.
All right, so we just pulled up to a property, brand new client, and we're going to be like, hey, you guys want to know the first rule of house hunting? And they're like, yeah, tell us. And you're like, know what the fuck you want. That might be a little aggressive, right? My first rule, and it comes out a little differently every single time, my first rule of house hunting is like, don't waste time. Like if you know you don't like it, let's just leave. We got other houses to see. Right. And I tell them that right up front. And so it tells me, it like affirms that being this weird, totally dynamic, open to being just like unabashed, like we can leave is an acceptable practice in the eyes of the consumer.
Yeah.
Versus coming with my folder and being already with my numbers when like they don't really care. I think the other thing is that this is the opportunity for sharks to strike. Yeah. Right. Like money is made when the market is cool. Right. But the rich get richer when the market's on fire. And we're not talking about like, oh my God, the market is so hot. When everybody else is like scared and afraid, that's when the rich double down. Right. Are you going to be one of those people that's scared and afraid? Are you going to double down, take some risk and build yourself the opportunity to grow your equity? I mean, if you plan it correctly, you should be able to build in every single market.
Probably the $1 million question everyone's asking themselves right now is what the hell's going on in the market?
So, there's a lot of media outlets out there that are putting out all this. It's all going to be negative right now, right? Because interest rates are going up and news outlets today tend to focus on negative headlines, right? Because it gets the clicks. What I would say is don't focus on that too much and focus on what we can actually control, right? So when we talk about your monthly payment, let's focus on where you want your monthly payment to be. And if that lines up on where we can get you into a home today, then great, right? Who cares what the interest rate is if you're comfortable still making that monthly payment, right?
Yeah.
There's different options out there that can help you out with getting a lower interest rate to start out before maybe you step up into that higher interest rate down the road. You have options to refinance in the future, so you might not even be in this mortgage for the long term. So yes, we are at a interesting point in the market right now because everybody's used to seeing those interest rates that were in the threes, right? And now we're up near 7%. But again, that's something that we can't control, right? We can't control where interest rates are. We can't control prices of homes, but what we can control is where you want to be monthly and where you want to be out of pocket. And if that lines up with the home that you could purchase out there on the market, then hey, who cares what the rate is?
But the key here is that we were talking about like the market conditions, right? Like the external conditions that are impacting the sale of your home.
Okay.
And what made me think about was, I think it's LA County is targeting the high-end real estate sale for an additional tax. And I don't remember the numbers, but let's just say it's 5 million plus, is getting taxed 5% greater than standard real estate. So if you're selling a $10 million property,
That's such a California thing.
I mean, I don't have a huge problem with it. I'm not going to lie. Like, I really don't.
I mean, I don't know. It's just like that mentality of like tax the rich. But also maybe there's good motive behind it. I don't know. I didn't read into anything. It's just like the stereotypical California thing.
Here's my perception on the tax the rich thing. Like, I can only feel that when you've made money, you should be gracious and appreciative and recognize that you did it through a system that's designed to help people make money and be gracious and appreciative, right? So if they're going to tax you, it's only to help more people. And in the long run, it's going to help you anyway, right? Like, and so instead of like focusing on like the shitty side of it, I always say like, man, a $10 million property, fuck. Let's take a good couple $100,000 and throw it towards taxes. Why not?
I mean, I guess.
Well, but I mean, that's my perception. My perception becomes that if there's an outside influence that's impacting the sale, it's something that's a good thing, not a bad thing, but it does change the value.
What do we call it? The 3 Ds of real estate? Do you know what they are?
Design.
D's, no, I'm kidding. No, it is deep clean, declutter, and depersonalize.
Okay.
So we need to clean the property, make sure it's presentable. So I feel like that's kind of similar to curb appeal, except on the inside, right? But you can also do outside.
You have to think about how you would want people to come through during showings. Like,
yeah, like your house can't be a mess. if you have a lot of crap, what I recommend doing is getting a pod, putting some of your stuff out there and storing it in the pod. I mean, if you want to get your whole home sold for top dollar, like that's what you got to do, right? You know, that couple $100 or whatever you spend on a pod is going to be reflected back into your purchase price if you take the right steps. You got to make it feel like home to these people who are walking through. So that was kind of decluttering and depersonalized, deep clean, you know, hire a cleaning company to come out there, clean up all the stains on your carpet if you haven't replaced it. You know, there's probably a lot of little like grime on your oven, you know, from you cooking, some stains everywhere. So I think that's the biggest thing for me and my clients. That's what I tell them, right? I think it's very important. And especially like when I walk into a home and it's hasn't checked off the 3Ds of real estate, I'm like, huh.
Who's your agent?
Right. You know,
Do you know, like, and trust them? 'Cause I wouldn't.
I said that if you haven't bought a house yet, it's your fault. And I was like, ooh, am I really going to accuse my followers of like, it's your fault? But I actually ran with it and I thought it was really true.
I feel like it's kind of the same mentality as when I was like, what's the quickest way to lose 100 grand in 5 years?
Anybody?
Renting.
Let's just use easy numbers, right? $2,000 a month, which is kind of common in today's market. $2,000 a month is going to be $24,000 a year. Over 8 years is going to be over almost $200,000.
You might as well have a house paid off.
In 8 years, you would make the same exact $2,000 payment. And what you would earn in 8 years' time, you would earn 20% equity. You would earn over $60,000, $70,000 in equitable position, plus 8 years of appreciation. And over the last 8 years, I mean, you would have bought a $300,000 house, you'd be at $450,000, and you would only owe $220,000. You know, what are your favorite things to do around Maryland in the summer?
Go and watch the sunset while I pick crabs, while having a nice cider next to me.
That might be the most Maryland thing ever. Actually, yeah, the Bay. There's a lot of fun things to do on the Bay. Picking crabs, obvious Maryland thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, and I don't know what season it is, so don't chastise me. But like picking strawberries, I always loved doing that.
Oh, that's
my
okay. There's
favorite.
a huge farm down in Calvert County called Swan Farms, and they just opened up, I think, last week.
There's places around here. There's closer places like Boggers and
Mm-hmm.
other things. There's some places in Parkville, in Howard County,
you gotta come down to
Westminster, in Calvert County. What's your favorite thing to do in the summer? We fucking spoke.
Just go to concerts. That's all I do. What is that for?
You got Patapsco. Can walk along. Patapsco Park.
There's also like Little Italy Festival. There's the boat show down in Annapolis. There's the
I think even just like walking around in Canton Fells, like by the water.
Yeah.
Like something as simple as that.
Getting some
Here's a
brunch.
question: how long is the boardwalk walk around the harbor?
Probably big, long.
All right, let me tell you. You know you're grown up when? When your fucking fun things to do in the summer is to walk along the water, okay? Talk to me later, okay? I've never met more annoying people.
You asked the question. You
I
asked
love
the question.
Tesla. Like, I want Tesla, but I don't want to be associated with that.
Okay, you don't have to be. You just don't join any of the Facebook groups. 'Cause
Like,
that's where you get all those.
Tell
fucking
me.
Wait, have
freaks.
you joined the Facebook?
I don't
Yes.
post. I just look at what the fuck people say.
Tell me one other brand of vehicle, just one, where there's that kind of a cultish following.
Mustang people are fucking freaks, man.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. People listening, if you drive a Mustang. No,
All right.
Corvettes are okay. Don't go there.
The Christian like,
Don't
All
go
the
there.
ones that Christian likes are good. The other ones are bad. Okay.
Mustang people are a different breed. And I'm
I
sorry.
can get down with that.
Jeep Wrangler.
That's
There's
what it's
too many
designed
Wranglers
for.
you to have to wave at every Wrangler.
Okay, but
You're not a small group.
okay. I wish that more people would fucking get off the fucking pot and actually do work. Like, I wish more people would have the conversation that I had this morning with an investor. I bought this property 4 years ago. I want to move. I want to keep this property as an investment. What's holding you back from moving? Well, I want to make some improvements to the property. What kind of improvements are you thinking about making to this property? Oh, I want to renovate the bathroom. Don't renovate the bathroom. That's a bad investment. It's not going to bring you profit. Here's my fear. You're going to spend the money, then you're not going to have any cash to move into the next house, and you're never going to make this rental happen, and you're going to turn around. And his response was, oh, well, I don't know. We'll still have to think about it. All right, well, think about it. And we'll talk again next month as we've talked for the last 12 months. And it'll be fucking 2027 and you'll still be thinking about investing, but you probably won't and you won't be able to. And you'll have to sell this home to move to the next one and you'll never have an investment property in your life. Or be one of those people that bought an investment property one time long ago and liquidated it because they needed the cash, which doesn't make any fucking sense. And then they turned around and now they don't own any investments.
Right.
For me, it's about creating multiple streams of income, not cash flow, multiple streams of income through the effort and the energy that you put in where you're creating opportunity for yourself in the future. If you want to be the person that's posting on TikTok, that's posting on Instagram, I make so much money. Well, I bet you that they didn't start out making money year one. And fuck those people that did, because good for them. They're lucky. I'm not trying to tell people that it's not possible. I'm trying to tell people that it's not realistic.
Right.
And there's going to be fewer people that have the capacity to buy a $150,000 home, which is a readily available thing today.
Okay.
It's not going to happen tomorrow, right? Even look over the last 10 years. Could you have bought a primary residence for $80,000? Yes, I have a client who lives in one. A primary residence that was move-in ready. Can you do that today? Few and far between. It exists, but it's few and far between. It's like in 10 years, will there be a $150,000 home? Maybe. Maybe not. But will the average income earner be able to afford the house that they desire to live in?
Dude,
No.
I'm also just looking at it as a whole, as a nation. Like if this is just happening in Baltimore, where else is it happening? Is there not that there's going to be another crisis. There could be. Who knows what's going to happen 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right?
Right.
But understanding the supply and demand that we have now versus people start buying up all these properties, how is it going to affect everything else?
Well, and you said it too, right? Like, what about Baltimore, right? What about other cities like Detroit, St. Louis, Minneapolis, these other approachable price point communities, right? What happens when our price point becomes 400, 500? I mean, heaven forbid our average price point in our market becomes 900. I don't care what you do. There's not a way for an income earner to graduate college and make enough money to afford a down payment on a $900,000 house.
I've seen that go viral on TikTok.
That's why I'm talking
about it. I feel
about
like it's just bullshit.
I'm going to give you the overview. Tax lien acquisition. You're buying the tax lien. People are like, oh, I could buy a whole property for $5,000. I'm like, no, you bought a fucking auction for $5,000. You didn't buy the property. You bought the lien. You now own the lien. Anyway, the point is, people get into tax lien acquisition for the same reason they go into wholesaling, for the same reason they go into real estate investing in the first place. The opportunity is great and it costs very, very little, right? The problem with tax lien acquisition is that it can become a humongous encumbrance. And you could just be the next chain of lien holders on that tax lien sale. If you're going to do it right, you have to start small, but you have to start with the right path. Tax lien acquisition is about volume. You better be prepared to buy 40, and you got to buy 40. You got to close on 40. You got to hire an attorney for 40 properties. You got to go to court for 40 properties. You got to foreclose on them.
Jesus
I mean, it's a lot, but you buy 40 and then you end up with one or two. Yeah, you made money on the other 38. But you didn't make money, you paid your bills. The biggest company that I've ever worked with acquires every single one of their properties through tax lien acquisition. It's just so tough because everybody's got these sexy things and TikTok things and whatever. Meanwhile, we got people over here that are like, I don't really want to buy. I want to acquire through, estates and deed and foreclosure and all this other stuff. I'm like, oh my God, buy a fucking primary residence and learn. Bro, I had the funniest conversation with somebody on Friday. She said something like, oh yeah, I decided I'm not going to buy a house. And I said, I'm curious, why not? And she said, oh, all the things, right? So interest rates, price point, right, all the things, right? And so I said, well, I'm curious, do you think that the interest rates are going to go down? And she goes, well, I'm not sure. I would like them to. What do you think? And I told her my thought. And I said, well, but what about price range? Do you think price range is going to go down? And she said, well, yeah, it's going to go down. And I went, why do you think that? She went, it's so high, COVID, blah, 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 right? And I said, well, I'm curious. Have you been to the dollar store? And she goes, yeah. I was like, have you been lately? And she's like, yeah. And she starts giggling. And I was like, it's not $1 anymore. And she laughed. She's like, yeah, it's $1.25. And I was like, yeah, do you think that's going to go down? Right? Do you think that we're ever going to use pennies again? No, we're not. We're eventually going to phase them out just like the hay penny did way back when. You know what I mean? At some point, we're going to keep growing to that point. The question is, are we going to become the people that are the users of, the bigger impact stuff? Or are we going to become just the people that are using whatever God's gifted us to use? And I think that's the question of getting yourself better, moving into a better place, and expanding your vibrational scale of consciousness, and expanding your ability to have your 1% improvement every single day.
Yeah.
I think mindset is the thing that's going to carry us from point A to point B. And I have a question for you, because I know what I'm going to do, but like, what's the one thing that would get you out of a funk, the one thing that would like lift you up if you were in a rut or you needed that emotional or physical support? Like, what's the one thing that you would do?
I think success has a snowball effect. I think once we get a taste of it, we want to keep it going.
The compound effect.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I think one of the big things that I noticed about myself is that when I am in a funk, once I have that one person answer the phone, or I have that one person putting in a contract, like, it helps me understand like why I'm doing it. Like,
okay,
like what am I fighting
effect,
for? Yeah,
getting that one small win.
Yeah,
like microdosing, right?
Yeah.
I think
exactly.
It's funny, but it's true.
I think a lot of people's funks, and I can kind of speak for myself here too, it's like a lot of mine come from like this if-then mindset. Like, if I do this, then this will be the outcome. This is how I'll feel.
100%.
But then you're constantly wrapped up in this like chase, like mentality of
right,
like, I have to do this, and then this will be the outcome. This
or
will be
like,
how I feel.
I can't do this because the outcome.
Yeah.
Right.
But
like,
then
it's
once defining you.
Yeah. Right. And when you have that, like, have hold of your life, or how you're running your business or what have you, it's going to take a very heavy toll. And I feel like that's how I get into a funk. So it's like about how
this is a very true story, and it's kind of sad. So before I was in real estate, I was in landscape construction. I went to work for a big company. They shipped us out to Oklahoma, where we lived, and we worked on this job site. So myself and the other project foreman shared a room, and it was like 2 beds, and in between our beds was like a nightstand, and he had a plant on his nightstand. And I came to learn that he had a disease called MS. So by the time Sunday rolled around, he would be, Friday, certainly Saturday, if we were working the job site, his feet, instead of like lifting his feet like this, his feet would kind of go like this. Right? He didn't have the energy, the muscular capacity to like lift his toe off the ground. And then he would give himself a shot on Sunday morning, and he just needed that, whatever that shot was, to recover. During that 20 minutes, he would take the shot, he would feed his plant, he'd talk to the plant. Well, I saw him do this one time, and I was like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Right? And he's talking to his plant, and he's watering the plant, he's kind of moving it or whatever, and he said something like, oh, I swear this plant is growing towards me. And I was like, nah, you're an idiot, it's growing towards the sun, right? Like, that's what I've been taught my whole life. But over the time that we were there, I was like, God damn, maybe this plant is growing towards him. Because you saw it. The shoots of the plant had more stalks going towards his bed than the ones that were going straight up towards the window. I genuinely do believe that there is a palpable, transmittable thing that's unexplainable that comes much more than just the sun looking at your face and feeling like, oh, I feel great.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different parts of buying a home that you don't even realize how many people that you need behind you to support you. And I think, like you said, like having an agent and a team overall, when I first start talking to someone, I always explain the process as like, you're picking out, your football team, your soccer team, like these are players that are going to be on your team throughout the entire thing.
I like that.
So choosing them individually, is just
it's
as
like a
important.
draft.
Yeah, it's pretty much like a draft. Like, you are choosing every single person, and not only them by themselves, but how they work with the other team members is also really important too. So
now, who do you put as the first round draft pick? Is it the agent? Is it the lender? Is it the title company? Is it your inspector?
I mean, I think the agent. So we do the fun part. So naturally, people gravitate towards us because they hear real estate and they hear realtor.
I also think that we are the person that can hold everyone accountable. But I think we do have a lot of power in home buying, home selling process, right? We can kind of control everyone and keep people on track. We also have the ability to set the expectation and educate people. Like, if my buyer comes to me with like a lending question, I'm not going to advise on it. I might tell them, hey, this is what might happen. This is what I've seen in the past. But I want you to chat with your lender so you're getting 100% accurate information. But I can help facilitate that. Finding the right agent that can help you with all of that, have those resources, is very important.
Well, me and John were actually talking about our word of the year along with our New Year's resolution.
What is a word of the year? I'm so curious.
Kind of like a nudge word. Like, so instead of having a set goal for the year, like a New Year's resolution, you have a word that kind of focuses to the mindset that you want to be in to achieve your goal.
How did you pick your word before you tell me what it is?
I tried to understand my mindset of what I needed to do to achieve my goals for this year, and everything, and kind of what what mindset I needed to be in.
So this was something that you framed. So what's the word?
It's perseverance.
Perseverance. Wow.
Yes. Real estate is a fight.
My word is present, because I want to, where I am in this moment, I want to be all in.
The one that I'm like mulling on at this current moment is like proud. It's a reminder to yourself every day to be proud for who you are and what you do and why you do it. And I think that's the most important thing. My point is that your ROI is directly correlated to the way that the environment feels. So when a buyer walks into your house, do they feel happy, lovey, hunky-dory? Do they feel like they want to live there? Or do they feel like they're walking into into Christian's mom's house, right? Like what I'm thinking, hold on. What I'm thinking is that scene in 21 Jump Street when, I can't remember the kid's name, but the kid goes, oh, mom, oh, right? Like, because you're walking in, you're looking at like baby photos and like naked children and like, oh, their Indian costume, from when they were 3.
Yeah.
Or are you walking into like a Home Goods vibe? Right. Everybody wants to live here. Everybody would love to live here. So when people do things like windows, they're like, I just replaced the windows. And you're like, cool, take down the photos over there.
You know what should be added on here? Is declutter, depersonalize, and deep clean.
The investment is probably $1,000 and the return is probably like 10x.
It doesn't match. Like it's unmatched.
Easy. It's the greatest investment. And here we are in 2023 looking at nothing but opportunity. It's an interesting consideration because earlier I said something about there's a expected increase in listing inventory of over 22%. And that's such an opportunity for a seller. In some ways you think, well, more supply equals less demand equals lower home prices. Well, it's an opportunity to showcase the value of your home, and it heightens the reason that you would hire someone that you trust to represent you. One thing that he said was, don't leave voicemails. And I was like, excuse me.
No, I love that. I love that.
But what he did not say was don't leave voicemails. What you heard was don't leave voicemails, but he didn't say don't leave voicemails. Okay, so what he said was, don't ever leave a voicemail ever again. And what people heard was, don't ever leave a voicemail ever again. Ring, 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 hang up. He furthers to say, okay, so you called today at 11. Hang up. Call back at 3. Mm-hmm. Call back before you leave the office at 5:30. Try them again tomorrow. First thing when you get into the office, 9 a.m. Call at 1 at lunch break. Try again at 4:30. And if they don't answer at 4:30, you're going to leave them a voicemail and it's going to go something like this. Ring, ring. My name is Mike Frank with Berkshire Hathaway. I understand you've been getting a lot of calls, OFC, right? So your introduction, your offer, your fact, and then your question. So I understand that you've been getting a lot of calls, and I wondered when would be the best time to connect. Mm-hmm. I've tried reaching out to you a number of times. I'm going to call you again in 2 days at 8 in the morning. If that time doesn't work for you, reach out to me and let me know what time does. I look forward to hearing from you. Hang up. To get back to like how you negotiate, right? And I think that this is the opportunity to take away like the buyer or the seller is going to tell you how to negotiate on their behalf. And you're just a vessel. You're just a tool, a hammer.
You're like the owl in Harry Potter that just delivers the message.
Ooh. To make your point, we are the owl that delivers the information, but we have to be given the right content. And I think when people are looking for someone to negotiate for them, it's kind of a fallacy. I think the answer should be with them. Mm-hmm. I'm not negotiating for my client. I'm just representing them. I'm just delivering the information like the owl. I agree.
That's why I said like listening is such a big part, right? You got to know what's going to be on your little letter with the owl. What are you going to say? What are you going to deliver? And how are you going to do it?
And I think that the biggest thing that I would tell any new investor, any seasoned investor, I don't care about you until you've done 6, maybe 8. Like if that person owns 3 rental properties, they're doing well.
Yeah.
But if they're going to tell me how to do it, they're not doing well enough
Right.
to educate.
Right.
And I think where people are coming at us and they're saying like, well, hey, what knowledge do you have, Heather? You're like, well, I've sold 8 homes. How many homes have you sold? We have these investors that come to us, like Christian said, where it's like, oh, it's a second home. I want to get a grant program. I'm not buying until I get a grant program. I'm like, all right, well, then I'm not going to waste my time with you.
And like people listening, like, don't think we're like shitty people.
No. Wait. There's a better thing to think about. We're not shitty people.
We're not.
We're the right agents
Right.
telling you what you need to hear.
Right.
Because the agent that I talked to yesterday was the wrong agent for that potential buyer. Instead
Yeah.
of setting the right expectations, that agent went and walked my property as if she was going to be
Well,
with
it's
her
like-
client. And it's like, why are you wasting your time? Why does your client think that this is a viable opportunity? Only because there are bad real estate agents out there with bad information and don't know how to get the proper information
Well,
to
I
their
mean,
client.
I wouldn't even say just real estate. Just like the internet has so much bad information, then they come to us, and like we try to educate them, and then it's like a war almost. It's like fighting back.
I'll use
Finance.
the property
Like,
that we own today. We bought pre-tax sale. An interesting way to come about it, there was an existing lien on the property from a prior tax sale, which is fucking wild. In order to buy the property, the owner came to me and said, I just need 20 grand. And I was like, girl, I'm going to get you more than 20 grand. We go in and we do a rough calculation with our title company. We try to figure out exactly what's owed on the back taxes, on the liens. Through a title search, we try to get kind of a gauge of our range. And our rough range was $50,000 to $90,000 in fees.
Damn.
Right? $50,000 to $90,000 in fees. We figured the house was worth about $150,000 to $170,000 at the time. And so we said, ooh, $90,000, 20 grand. We really can't afford to pay her that much more money.
Right.
But if we get lucky, we can afford to pay her that much money.
Right.
So we offered her $23,500. She, of course, accepted it because it was more than she wanted. We went to settlement, and the total settlement total acquisition cost was less than $60,000. It was better than we anticipated because we were able to renegotiate the terms of the attorney's lien that he had from the prior tax sale. We ended up making a killing on that deal, and we ended up helping the owner move. The point is that like it doesn't come without risk, but we were able to provide somebody a real value, being honest with ourselves, giving her 110% of what we could afford, and it paid off. And that's just the way that I believe that you acquire property. This dude called me and he says, hey, Mike, I have a property I want to sell. I go, great. What's the address of the property? He tells me the address of the property. I go, awesome. It's unimproved land. Have you ever valued this home before? He says, no. I got to run. Can we talk tomorrow at 4? You tell me what it's worth. We'll connect tomorrow. Sounds great. Okay. I'm going to need some information from you before we list the property. I'm going to need your full legal name as it's on the deed of record. I'm going to need X, Y, and Z, all the different things that I need, right? And I get a little bit of a funny feeling from this conversation. So I say, I also need a copy of your ID. Because there's nothing wrong with that. The title company is going to ask for it eventually anyway. Right. But I also just wanted to like verify that this was the person that I was talking to on the phone. Sure enough, the next day, the guy sends me a picture of his ID, picture of his wife's ID, email address, phone number, everything. All the stops. It all adds up. But I'm still getting like this weird feeling. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just drive by the property that they own in Maryland, that their primary residence. He says he's in New Jersey with family. I'm going to drive by. So it's Friday night at like 8 o'clock. I drive by and there is one light on in the property, but it wasn't enough to make me feel like, oh, they live here.
Right.
So I write a note and I leave it in the mailbox. And the note says, hey, my name is Mike. We've been talking on the phone about selling your property at this address. I wanted to make sure that we were all good. It seems like, you may or may not be living here. If you are, if you wouldn't mind giving me a call, I just have a little bit of a weird feeling. I want to make sure that this is actually you. Don't get a phone call. 2 days later, I drive back to the property in the middle of the afternoon and I knock on the door. And this guy comes around from the back of the house and he's like, can I help you? So I walk up to him and I go, hey, sir. So my name's Mike. I don't know if we've talked before. He's like, nope. I said, okay, now I know we're up to something weird. And I say, hey, look, I got reached out to. This is what happened. They told me that they were you. I asked them to send me an ID. They provided me with this ID. Here's your ID. He goes, well, that's not my picture. I said, okay, well, but it's your address. He said, it's my address. That's my driver's license number. That's not my signature. I was like, damn. So they have his ID, his driver's license number with a different photo and a different signature.
How does it happen?
I don't know. But then I showed him the wife who also ID, so on and so forth. different picture, different signature, same driver's license number, same address, everything else. He's like, damn, this is weird. And I was a little bit worried, but thankful that I actually stuck with my intuition and went to, see the property, see the guy, talk with him. This person, whoever reached out to me through their means, had all the means of selling this property. I would have been a part of an illegal land sale had I gone through with it.
Now, does any of that fall on you knowing that they have that person's information and you need to, do you have to report that or anything?
I mean, we called the cops.
Yeah.
But I have no idea.
It's just in this game of catch up, I feel
now is the time to buy. Honest to God, if there was ever a time to buy, it's fucking today. It's not going to go anywhere. The market's not going to crash. You can fucking bet on it. I would take dozens and dozens and dozens of bets. Fucking hit me. No kidding. The opportunity is prime, especially in this summer with as much as going on. Except the last 10 years, the last 3 decades, we've never seen interest rates below 7, right? So we have opportunity for people to come in and take on challenges that they've never had the opportunity for before. You've got people looking to move up, people looking to improve their house, improve their life, improve their family. COVID not only took away from the opportunity for us to have our social opportunities, but it also took away for our chance to grow in a normal way. Yeah. I don't know how to say it any other way. But now you have all these people looking to move out, and it's like the fucking economy just keeps growing and growing and growing. Even if there's a dip in the economic value, there's still more people. And that's the thing that people don't understand. The drive is so high for real estate. Even if the market takes a slight dip in 10 years, your value is going to be dramatically improved from where it is today. Yeah. To think about a $1 million property becoming a $1.8 million property in 10 years is psychotic, but at the same time, it's logical.
Yeah.
It follows the same trend, the same appropriation that we've seen in the last 30 years. We have been putting out annual equity reviews for our clients for about a year and a half now, give or take. And what we find is that people are really using these as a benchmark for their growth. It's not an indication of your value, but it's more information to help you understand the road that you're traveling. And I think that a lot of people look at real estate as where I live and not where I invest.
True.
And I think that especially as a renter that might be considering home ownership, having an equity review might just give them the realization that my equity position in real estate is 0. But when I look at my portfolio across the board, my assets in the bank, my car's worth, my net worth of my personal belongings and my things, as well as my investment portfolio in the stock market, my investments are worth $12,000, $40,000, $170,000, $7 million. Great. Whatever it might be, but it could be more. You know why? Because you're renting. There's 4 things that sell a house: price, condition, location, and marketing. The marketing is totally in our control, right? The condition is totally in the seller's control. The price is what we come together to figure out. And the location doesn't change. So once the sellers have figured out that there's only 3 things that they're hiring for, and there's only 2 things that the agent can actually impact, the only reason that you should be considering 2 different agents is their marketing approach and their pricing approach. And that's it. If you do what you have to do and you hire an agent to do what they have to do, price, condition, marketing, location, there's nothing else that's going to sell your house, right? Find somebody that's going to do their job. If you do your job, pay attention to the market, look at the comparable home sales, hiring a real estate professional that you trust, finding someone that's going to give you up-to-date market statistics and routinely and regularly. If they're not talking to you once a week, go find somebody else. You could cancel your listing agreement, cancel it and call us or call Regina. Bang. Right?
Either way.
Find somebody like Liv that's going to bring value even beyond what you expect. And that's what I think is your job. Let's play this game from settlement day forward. What happens settlement day forward that makes them feel like they chose the right agent? I mean, one thing that we do that some agents may or may not do would be keeping up with your equitable position and sharing with you what's happening in the market, right? So newsletters, market analysis, numbers for your particular property, maybe a market, a benchmark or otherwise. We have the equity review mailer, which is a great content piece turning into be really, really amazing. that follow up as far as the knowledge of the current state of the market. That's probably the second piece, communication and then the knowledge, right? We're going to call it accidental house hacking.
Yeah.
So you bought a property in 2015 to 2022. Maybe you refied at some point in time and you got to like the 1.99, 2.49% interest rate, and you're never gonna move because you got such a good rate. Why wouldn't you accidentally take advantage of that opportunity, right? It was an accident that you ended up at that rate in the first place. You didn't set out to get that rate. You didn't put 2.49 next to your little house and a firefighter when you were in kindergarten, okay? It wasn't your intention. It just happened. So now Carrie has this house at 2.49%, and she's going to buy another house for more money, right?
Yeah.
Because the market's gone up since she bought.
Yeah.
All right. So she's going to pay
$350.
And her monthly payment in today's world at a 7.5% interest rate, 6.25% interest rate is going to be what?
$3,200.
$3,200. And her previous mortgage was
$2,200.
$2,200. So she's going to pay $1,000 more. I'm never going to move. But instead, she's going to rent that property for $3,000, like you said, right?
Yeah.
She's going to pay some expenses, and she's going to walk away with how much in cash?
Anywhere from $500 to $700.
$500 to $700. So now instead of spending $1,000 more per month, she's only spending $300 to $500 more per month, and she gets that garage that she's wanted, and she gets that walk-in closet that she's wanted. It's like an accident that she ended up with this good interest rate.
Yeah.
So like, let's just leverage it to get to the thing that we want.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. It's crazy. I can't explain it, but psychology plays such a factor into what we do every day. It has absolutely nothing to do with market stats. And the thing is that you can literally make statistics look like anything you want, right? So statistics are exactly what you want to make of it. And that's what's happening in today's real estate market. If you look at our blog today, you're going to notice that our blog is all about today's market by comparison to last year's market. Today's real estate market, if you look at today's Maryland real estate market, we are significantly less in units, in volume, in pending sales, in market closed, and time on the market, and every negative statistic that you can have. Except the one that fucking matters. Price. That's the only fucking one that matters. You know why? Because no matter how fucking rich you are, nobody's buying 11,843 houses. So the 11,843 houses that sold last June versus the 6,752 houses that sold this June, who fucking cares? One house, one buyer. All we give a shit is that the price is going up.
Yeah.
That's how we're growing equity appreciation. Right. And so if we're paying attention to these statistics, we're already in the wrong place. So it's just like the statistics are, why are we in the house talking about statistics? Why are we not in the house talking about this house?
Yeah.
So if we were to look at today's topic on our podcast, we're supposed to talk about a key to swift home selling in a dynamic market. Right. And we talk about this shit all the time. So I'm going to save you guys a lot of fucking energy. But what I am going to say is I'm not going to use the real estate term. I'm only going to use a normal fucking people term. Now tell me that you couldn't overcome any objection in your life. Weight loss, workout, selling a house, getting to the moon or otherwise with these terms, right? Tailored, strategy, advantage, presentation, timing, and concern. You couldn't get over everything in your life by talking about, hey, what's my presentation, right? What's my strategy? What's my tailored approach? What's my advantage? And yet we're over here talking about, like in your case, right, Grand Prix or F1 or whatever. We're talking about Elon Musk and all these other people, but what's their advantage? What's their tailored approach? What's their strategy? What's their presentation look like? What's their timing look like? What are their concerns? If we take the same exact thought process and we apply it to every single thing in our life, how am I going to lose weight? How am I going to make more money? How am I going to get a raise, right? Forget our real estate terminology. Right? It's just so relatable. And we're over here trying to figure out how to help people sell. Well, if your agent's not relatable and they're just telling you how they can do it better, it's like, are you even hiring a real estate agent, or are you just hiring somebody to put it in the MLS and like call it a day?
Yeah.
What you really want to do is you want to tell every young person to buy the biggest piece of shit that
Mike,
they can get their hands on.
Every time we talk about it, this is just Mike's like,
if you bought a $150,000 townhome in Parkville 10 years ago, right? Or if you bought when you were 18, 19, 20, 21, just a shitty piece of property, and you just lived there and you didn't do anything to it, and then you went to sell it and you invested $20,000 or $30,000 to painting it, flooring it, cleaning it, maybe doing a kitchen or whatever you needed to do, that $150,000 condo 10 years later is probably worth close to $300,000.
Yeah.
You're getting a great return on your money. By the way, you paid down your principal. It's like the turnaround can be monumental. You could be in a competition for that $350,000 house that you've always wanted, or $450,000 house. You could be the buyer that has 20% down just because you live there. Otherwise, the rest of us rent property for our whole 20s.
Yeah.
And then we're like, we can't buy in our 30s because interest rates are high.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, guys. Like, get over ourselves and start to do something for our future. And I feel like that's the theory of today's blog content. You're welcome, and I'm out.
If you guys knew the details of Heather's listing right now,
She is a fucking trooper.
if she was a doctor, it would be the analogy of her hand in a.
I'm like, literally, my
patient's-
thumb is filling the hole in the aorta and the left ventricle
And she's
currently,
fucking pumping the heart.
and I am the one
Oh my god.
Literally.
doing compressions.
If
Yep,
you
no?
want a trooper of her listing agent,
bleeding out on the table. I'm like, Dad, can I get a 10 blade? No one's
reach out to
helping.
Heather. She's amazing.
It's like one of those dreams where you're naked, truly and honestly.
One of those dreams where you're naked.
You've never had dreams where you're in public and you're naked.
I'm not gonna lie, to you, neither have I.
Thus, they overpaid for value, right? They were told that the property was going to rent for $1,800 when it only rented for $1,600, or they were told that it was going to rent for $1,600 when it only rented for $1,350. Yeah, and then they were oversold the value of their management company.
Dude, it's so relatable that you say that, because like getting into real estate, you want to see results immediately, whether you're an agent, whether you're in lending, whether you're investing, right? You always are like, oh, I want to see this return immediately. But you always want to see the return immediately, and people don't have the patience to take time to understand why things happen the way they happen, or to really work and to build. So like if you wanted to paint your shutters pink, okay, get out of here. What are you, Barbie?
First of all, don't even do that. Don't even do that.
What? What? Okay, I feel like I just touched on a part of it. Like there's something that she thought about that pink. Like it went back.
Okay, so
what
I'm
happened?
not gonna lie. I had neighbors when I lived on Hanover, and even with like the red brick, they had these like light pink. But I think the difference is between like that like cotton candy baby pastel pink that you picture, and like I think especially nowadays there's a much more like neutral tone of light pink that's not as like abrasive and feminine.
Here's something that
Inherently.
I'm just thinking, because you live there, you saw it every day. Was it pink? Or was it this like 1920s shutter that's been faded? It was originally red.
It was pink.
It was pink?
It was pink.
Can you imagine being the contractor going up there to paint that damn thing if you're not
Okay,
the owner?
honestly, I really wish we weren't even sitting at the same table, because I feel like you're
What?
being hella judgmental
About the
now.
paint? You liked
On
them?
the pink. So I don't think I would do it, but I feel like there's a very tasteful way to do it and,
I mean,
and still
maybe.
have it look elevated and chic.
But I'm always thinking about the increased upside. When we're talking with our sellers about preparing their home for sale, are they increasing their home's value by painting it, cleaning it, deep cleaning the carpets? Are they increasing their home's value? No. They're guaranteeing their sale. They're making sure that their home sells for the top dollar as quickly as possible, rather than sitting on the market like a stale, stagnant property. Speaking of enjoying the moment, we're standing there in front of all of our family and friends on Friday night. And I turned around and I went, John, I need a phone. And he's like, I don't have your phone. I was like, no, I just need any phone. Give me a phone. He gives me a phone, and I just literally like videotape everybody just standing in front of us, because that was the experience. That was the moment that I didn't want to lose.
Yeah.
Right? For me, seeing all of that come to fruition was such a blessing, and that is why I work the way that I do.
Like,
To your point, you have clients that are calling you, their real estate agent, 20 years younger than them, to help them with common routine maintenance.
My main point here is that people aren't thinking like home ownership includes all like they
That's
don't
what
think.
I mean.
Yeah.
But and it's not even like, oh my God, I now.
But
have
I think
to
it's
fix
the way.
roof. It's the mentality around it.
But I think it's kind of like an industry or some kind of like standard. I don't even say standard, but like this. I don't know. people don't associate those things with like, oh, this is what homeownership's about. It's not even like something that really like crosses their mind again until it happens. So like the whole industry, I feel like is kind of like that. Like whether you're an insurance agent or real estate agent for that rancher or that hurricane came through or whatever, right? Like no one thinks like, oh, you need to know this.
There's so much going on in Baltimore City, grant programs, guided opportunities for investors, people looking to buy into Baltimore. Millions and millions and millions of dollars have been put into Baltimore in the form of low income housing. For anybody that's thinking about developing large scale housing, I think it's something like 15 units and greater, millions of dollars of grant opportunity. There's so much goodness going on. Live Baltimore is the resource where you should start. If you have questions, you can always reach out to us, but they're a great resource.
But it's crazy because no matter what's going on in the market, everybody's going to want that. Everybody's going to want the deal, the nicest home on the block.
Right.
But then they can't conceptually like wrap their head around, oh, I might have to pay a premium. But then you think about it now, this premium price, it's only going to get more and more and more expensive, and the data tracks. No matter if interest rates are 8% or 5% or 2%. Tell me, do you want to buy at 2%? Do you want to buy at 8%? Do you want to pay 50 grand more, 100 grand more? And if we're talking about multifamily, everyone's right.
Where's the sound clip that just goes like this?
I don't understand. What
like
is
the
that?
Mic drop. Like you just dropped the mic on everybody. But for your first one, for your I'm going to get rich quick scheme, why don't you just buy with 3.5%, 4%, 5% down, 0% for VA and USDA borrowers. Create an opportunity for yourself to build some equity. And in 2 or 3 or 5 years, when the interest rates come down and the housing market goes up, you could tell me I'm right. In the meantime, I don't want to hear shit from anybody.
Gang.
I'm done. There are 3 types of people: early adopters, late adopters, and your average human being, right? Early adopters got in early, and it doesn't matter what the crackdown happens, right? Like they don't care. They bought 4 years ago before Airbnb was a thing. The next wave, the people that were like the common buyer, the person that's willing to follow the trend once they see that it's going to stick, that person's probably like a little worried about their investment, but they're not losing. It's the people that are late to the party. People that are looking at Airbnb multifamily investment that are like coming out and saying, but I can't make this profitable. Well, no shit, right? Like no shit, you can't make it profitable because of the crackdowns, because of the other things, because of the interest rates or whatever your outside influence is. No shit, you can't make it profitable, but it doesn't mean that you can't make it profitable by looking at it from a different perspective.
Today, we are here chatting a little bit about Armageddon. Interest rates are at 8%.
Yeah.
The world's coming to an end, people. You'll never be able to buy a house. You'll never be able to do anything else in your life. It's over. Thoughts?
That's what they say.
That's what everybody's saying. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. I did some numbers the other day. At 320, a 7% interest rate, I think I ran it at. The monthly payment was like $2,657. And then I was like, okay, well, what happens when rates go down to like 5 and then the prices go up maybe by 10%? I think I ran it at 360 or 350 and the monthly payment was only $100 less. So at 360 at 5%, your monthly payment is only $100 less than if you bought at 320 versus 320 and a 7% interest rate.
Damn.
One thing I wanted to comment on today.
Yeah.
Have you seen 3D printed homes? Any of you? 3D printed homes, they're taking these like cement machines. And let's say this table here is like the outline of the home, right? You want to follow the edge of this table. There's something that pours cement just in a line and it follows the rectangle of the table. But what's crazy is they just let that dry. Like cement just drying on top. There's no like structural support at all. And people are like saying you spend a fraction of the cost on these homes, but there's also other people saying, yeah, this just going to blow over in a couple of years because ground shifts and moves and just like alters in a way. And then you have cracks leading all over through your home. And because I
feel like from my very limited knowledge, that makes sense. That holds ground. So I'm very
but
interested.
I don't understand.
Is it like the type of concrete? Like, is it a higher percentage of something or a different composition?
Imagine you took
like just regular schmegular, like it's in the back of that Bob the Builder truck. And just
kind of, I guess. Out. Yeah, it would be similar.
Okay. I don't know then.
But it's just like, It's crazy to me.
Last week, the ruling came down that National Association of Realtors lost a lawsuit for $1.8 billion. I get it. It's a sexy headline. I can't help it. It's not going to change shit.
Dude, I was thinking the same exact thing in the car.
I just can't. The buyer's agent should bring value. And they should be able to accentuate that value. And they should be able to request the seller to compensate them for that value. The seller should not be obligated to pay a buyer's agent a particular fee. And I understand that perspective, and that's what this lawsuit is about.
Yeah.
The lawsuit alleges that the sellers were misled to believe that the compensation that they were paying their agent was to go towards their agent. And they were not of the understanding that they were compensating the quote unquote other side. The failure is that people fail to acknowledge that we are cooperating agents representing different parties and their intentions, but cooperating to make this happen. It's not that I'm against this lawsuit. The lawsuit is correct.
Yeah.
NAR should have lost this lawsuit. There's no question.
Yeah.
It's going to change the way that we present information. It's not going to change the cost. How many slices of pie can you eat in 10 minutes? That's what we're creating.
Maybe 5
minutes. 5 slices or 5 pies?
5 slices. 5 slices. That means I have to do one every 2 minutes.
In 10 minutes, 6 slices per pie. Pumpkin, I could eat a whole pie.
In 10 minutes.
10 minutes. All right, so pie party, pie eating contest tonight, 8 p.m. Pariah Brewing. 10 minutes.
I know,
so how
but
many
like
slices can you eat? I said $20. What's
and
wrong?
winner takes all?
Winner takes all.
Holy shit.
It's like, what if we just committed to understanding that growth in the real estate market is a truism? Growth in the real estate market is not something that's going to go away. Yeah, those bad years are going to exist, but the good years far outweigh the bad. So like, let's just buy into that.
Yeah.
And stop trying to believe this stupidity that someone threw onto some news channel and they said, oh, well, by the way, did you know that there's been bad years in real estate? And then all of a sudden people are like, there's been bad years? Because I bet you the person that gave you the good information would say, well, yeah, the good doesn't come with the bad.
Yeah.
And I always say that they can't have high highs without low lows. So like 2008 was the low low.
Something that we've talked about is just like confirming the sale of the property. You'll confirm the sale of your home by having these maintenance items taken care of and taking care of your property. And then also you'll be able to get a premium price for your home.
Well, and the argument that Christian's making is basically like, hey, your house value is 600 to 625. But if we sold it today, it could sell to one person that would pay 625. Or maybe 2 or 3 people would come in and compete if we listed it at 600. But if we paint it, we put down carpet or flooring, it might cost us 7, 10, 15,000, but we're confirming that there are 3 people that will now buy it for 625. Yeah. So it's a little bit more like you're investing the money to guarantee the sale. What's up, guys? Thanks for watching. For more information on the housing market, Real Estate 101, how you can leverage your position in today's market, and so much more, click on the link below. If you like this video or have a burning real estate question you'd like us to answer, leave us a comment and let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you again real soon.